Everybody get up, it's time to slam now.
Come on and slam, and welcome to the jam. Come on and slam, if you wanna jam.
Yo, poets, pull up. Not cute, not humble, not tucked in the corner waiting for the room to accidentally notice you got a whole universe burning behind your teeth. No, bring your mouth to the front. Bring your breath with some bass in it. Bring that poem you keep calling unfinished because you're scared it might tell the truth too loud. Good. Let it. We're performing poets now. That means we don't walk into a room like guests at our own resurrection. It means we don't apologize for the smoke when the poem is clearly on fire. It means we don't shrink our metaphors so mediocre ears can feel included. No shade. Actually, a little bit of shade. A little. Because some folks want poetry to be soft lighting and background music. But no, it's actually not ambiance. This is witness with a pulse. This is language with hips. This is grief with red lipstick clearing its throat at the mic. And this is the body standing in public saying, I survived too much to whisper my own name. So take up room. Take the stage like your ancestors left it warm for you. Take the mic like it knows your fingerprints already. Take the breath before the first line and make the whole room wait for it. Let them feel you arrive. Let your silence have shoulders. Let your pause lean back in the chair and cross its legs. Let your voice walk in late, wearing sunglasses and still own the meeting because poets, listen, your poem doesn't need permission to be pretty, ugly, holy, nasty, furious, tender, or wrong before it gets it right. It just needs breath. And you got that. You got lungs and you've argued with panic. You've got ribs that have held storms without leaking. You've got a tongue that has bitten itself bloody just to keep peace with people who didn't deserve the quiet. So open your mouth. Not soft, not safe, not like you're asking the room to please be gentle. Open your mouth like the poem has been pacing inside you with boots on. Open your mouth like truth just kicked the green room door open off the hinges. Open your mouth like the page owes you money. Say it. Say the line that scares you. Say the image that shows too much skin. Say the grief with the glitter still stuck to it. Say the want without dressing it in church clothes. And say the rage without putting a little bow on the blade. Say it because the circle is not here for the diet version of your spirit. We're not gathered for low-calorie testimony. We're not passing the mic so you can disappear politely in front of witnesses. So no, we came for the whole meal. Salt, honey, bone, heat, that one line you almost cut because it made you too honest. Put it back. Put it back with attitude. Put it back and look somebody dead in the face when you say it. Let the poem flirt with danger. Let it sweat. Let it roll its neck. Let it pull up to the mic like, yeah, I said what I said. And if your hands shake, let them. It's not weakness, it's thunder warming up, and if your voice cracks, let it. That's the floor opening to the real thing so it can climb out, and if you cry, wipe once and keep reading. Make the tear earn its place in the performance because poets, we're not here to be flawless, we're here to be felt. And felt doesn't mean consumed. Felt doesn't mean handled. Felt does not mean the audience gets to take you home and call that connection. Actually, your sensuality is not public property. Your tenderness is not merch, and your trauma is not a meet and greet. Your body is not an after party. You can stand on stage radiating heat and still be a locked door with gold light underneath it. You can be delicious without becoming dinner, and you can be open without being available. And you can give the room a poem without giving the room your whole damn nervous system. It's the art. It's a boundary. It's the grown poet magic. So take up room now. With your notebook. With your shaky breath, with your too much laugh, with your voice coming back from every place that tried to bury it. Take up room until the mic remembers your name. Take up room until the walls start sweating. Take up room until the quiet people in the back sit up straighter because something in you gave something in them permission. And anybody who flinches at your fullness, let them. That flinch is not your assignment. That flinch is just their comfort zone catching fire, and honestly, let it burn. You breathe, you bloom, and you spit, and you testify, and you make the room earn the privilege of hearing you because, yo, we are performing poets now. Not decorative, not background, not grateful for a corner where the weather that came with its own mouth, a sermon with its lip gloss on, and we're the womb that learned choreography. We're the breath that refused to stay buried. So step up, adjust the mic, look the room right in its nervous system, and say, move. I live here now. There's a fuck you living in my stomach. It's not pretty, it's not cute, it's not dramatic, it's old. A fuck you with dirt under its nails and blood in its mouth. A fuck you that has been writing itself inside me for years. An infinity ink. The kind that doesn't fade just because somebody just uncomfortable reading it. The kind my body used before my mouth knew how to spell no. So let it come. Don't clean it up. Don't baptize it so everybody else can survive hearing it. This is not a soft boundary. This is the eviction notice. Fuck you for every time you made me question what my body already knew, and fuck you for every joke with a blade in it, and for every apology that came dressed as growth but still smelled like the same old rot. Fuck you for touching my piece with dirty hands and calling me sensitive when I flinched, and say it deeper, from the place where you swallowed no until it turned into acid. Fuck you for making me feel cruel for protecting myself, and fuck you for needing my softness but hating my spine, and fuck you for mistaking my access for inheritance, and fuck you for acting shocked when the door you kept slamming finally learned how to lock. And fuck the training too. Fuck the guilt with the leash on it, and fuck every lesson that left your throat unlocked. Because every time I made myself smaller so somebody else could feel huge, my body was taking notes. Every time my gut said stop and my mouth said it's okay, my spirit wrote it down. Not in pencil, not in mercy, in infinity ink permanent enough to become prophecy. Now call yourself back. I call back my no from every mouth that tried to chew it smaller, from every hand that reached past my spirit, from every love that needed me quiet to call itself safe. I call back my body from the hallway, and I call back my piece from the bargaining table, and I call back my throat from the witness stand. And when they say you changed, fuck you! I returned. I came back from being convenient. I came back from being understanding at the expense of my own pulse, and I didn't become mean. I became unavailable for disrespect, and I didn't become cold. I became done keeping myself warm for people who only visited to take fire. Tell them what they didn't get back. You don't get back the old me. The woman that was not softer, she was surrounded. The woman that was not kinder, she was afraid. The woman that was not easier to love, she was easier to access. And I buried her with every key you thought you still had. So when they knock now, understand this. My silence is not an invitation. My absence is not a tantrum. My boundary is not up for debate. My no is not looking for a second opinion, and my body spoke first. My gut signed the order, and my spirit changed the locks, and my mouth finally caught up. Say it once, clean and final. Fuck you. Spirit intact, access denied, door closed. And this time, the ink loops back into my own name. Forever. Forever, and I'm not on the other side begging myself to open it. When you make one of us pray, bet. When you make one of us pray, bet. Don't act shocked when the whole pack stops laughing. You thought poets were soft because we cry pretty under stage lights. Wrong room. We cry, then we document. We shake, then we timestamp. We grieve, then we stand 10 deep with the truth pressed hot behind our teeth. You thought you could disguise harm as poetry. Cute. You thought if you wrapped jealousy in metaphor, we wouldn't smell the lowbrow bitch of it, but we smelled it. All of it. The fake concern, the crooked little stanzas, the I'm just expressing myself with a knife tucked under the enjambment, but please, a poem is not a hiding place for your insecurity, and a mic is not a weapon because you don't know how to be loved without making another person bleed. And let's be clear. You didn't make art, you made a mess and called it imagery, and you made a room unsafe and called it honesty, and you dragged our best friend's name through your mouth like your tongue doesn't owe rent to every lie it shelters. The fuck not, because we noticed, always notice. Poets hear subtext before the sentence finishes dressing itself. We heard the shade. We saw the target. We watched you aim from behind your little soft-focused performance like nobody in the room had survived better manipulation than yours. You didn't pick a lonely person. You picked a family. You picked a circle with memory, and you picked a witness who knows the difference between a wound and a weapon. So hear this plain. You don't get to hunt here. You don't get to turn our space into your emotional litter box, and you don't get to bring your person drama, territorial panic, and bargaining bin cruelty into a room built by people who had to survive real shit just to open their mouths. We're not your playground. We're not your audience for a jealousy tantrum and line breaks. And them, the one you tried to make small, they're loved here. They're held here. And they're not alone here, so every time you speak sideways about them, understand, the room turns, the circle tightens, and the air takes notes. You're welcome to start looking temporary. Your seat starts wobbling, your access starts hearing its own eviction notice. And no, we're not bullying you. We're returning your behavior to its owner. We're putting your shadow back in your hands and saying, carry that shit yourself. Because this bond was built after poems, in parking lots, in voice notes, in panic, in grief, in somebody whispering, can you stay with me until I feel real again? So, no, you don't get to poison that. You don't get to mistake our tenderness for unlocked doors, and you don't get to make one of ours feel unsafe and then sit in the room like your hands are clean. And when you make one of us pray, bet, we come as a chorus, we come as witness. Come as boundary with a backbone, and we come as mourning with our mouths loaded. And if you want quiet, you should have moved with more respect. If you wanted peace, you should have kept our sister's name out of your poem. And if you wanted to be seen harmless, you should have stopped acting like harm. The microphone.
Some fathers have two faces. Their father had one called Ray and one called Nephew. He combined them to conjure up a patois-speaking demon, the kind of demon other demons fear. When overproof rum turned their father into a Jekyll and Hyde missile, they'd seek a place to hide. Hide under the bed, hide under the covers, hide under the kitchen table. One tip for hide and seek. Don't hide under the kitchen table. Chairs cannot stop a missile. He threw the chairs out the way, two at a time, and they hit the wall in tandem. He grabbed his targets by their ankles and pulled their legs from under the table as they grabbed at the linoleum and looked back over their shoulders at the face. Turn your face. He say it to their face. Look upon the wall. And they'd about face. As they grew older, memory became a wall that needed to come down so demons could be faced. Some memories never forget a face. Some memories don't even need a face to recognize a face. They can see a face in a lampshade, a Volkswagen, or burnt toast. This is a phenomenon known as pareidolia. The brain perceives random objects as familiar faces. They see his face in the silhouette of an island called Jamaica. They see his face in the spirits that he consumed. They see his face in the spirits that consumed him. Kitchens can have two faces. One, nourishment. One, a ghost. Haunting flashbacks. Facing the wall for so long, it started to mirror faces. The wall, no longer a wall. Call it a wound. Plastered deep into time. Call it a wound named childhood. Because demons need to be named and called out before they can be cast out while sitting in chairs, forming a circle of cautiousness. It's hard to let walls down when you were raised around things always being thrown. Yet they never threw it back in his face. After a night of his drinking, in the morning, their father wanted to be buddies.
On the day the Pope died. On the day the Pope died, no one knew that he'd been dead since before 9/11. No one told you. No one paid enough attention to push him over. Obviously not crusaders praying to Jesus while bombing mosques. They say he was a man of peace, admonished by St. Laurent Hill for the sins of pedophile priests. Gas prices rising like the flames of souls dying for oil, and the lies about those weapons of mass destruction yet to be found. Tsunamis rage like the tears of the planet, wounded and ravaged by our raped ecology as water becomes the next commodity. It wasn't on the Disney Channel, so don't look on Fox 5 or Hot 97 where misled hip-hoppers pimp Coca-Cola and labor leaders disappear from Colombia where the peso is worth even less than $1. The evangelicals tell you in church on Sunday that Social Security has been hijacked by gangsters, the Christians that lied and stole 2 elections. So on the day the Pope died, the most impoverished people in the land, who are mostly black, beige, and brown, still genuflect to a white man. Heads bowed, kneeling on the ground, giving their hard-earned cash to the richest men on earth, while the kingdom of heaven is within. So on the day the Pope died, the truly faithful cried and gave praise to Mary, the Black Madonna, otherwise known as Isis, marching the street bearing death symbols, turned their backs to the Vatican for not excommunicating Hitler, opened their closets and burned sage to exorcise demons, set fire to fascists disguised as Republicans, fanned the coals while channeling Phoenix. On the day the Pope died, El Salvadoran martyrs were still not vindicated. Archbishop Romero turned in his grave as the death of Sister Dorothy Stang of Brazil is being investigated, and the conspiracy of murder continues against peasants protecting the rainforest. Angels of justice guard brave priests like Reverend Leclerc and Sandoval as they preach the theology of liberation in a land that is evil and hostile. So on the day the Pope died, it seemed as if no one had been listening, as millions of oppressed nationalities left the earth for man-made diseases, while coat hangers returned for those seeking abortions. Still Mumia Abu Jamal sits on death row, and our children suffer death from McDonald's, trying to pay back student loans with salaries from Starbucks, dreaming of making a living on Def Jams, combing the country doing open mics and poetry slams, to realizing their dreams turned into a nightmare as Def Jam poets line up for welfare. So on the day the Pope died, we pray for a new regime that truly reflects a culture of life, where the strong will truly protect the weak, as bells ring in the Vatican, sending vibrations throughout the planet for the true liberation of the human spirit.
I am a fucking professional at leaving things unfinished. Just ask every ex I've tried to build a home in. Consult every laundry list I've ever tried to complete within a reasonable period of time. I am overstimulated, dehydrated, and constantly trying to keep up. But not everyone can make executive task dysfunction look this hopeful when both me and my twisty-turvy mind know we're only going to use that bell pepper once before it goes to die in the graveyard of my crisper. Shit. I can barely believe I've made it this far. I can barely believe I'm alive. When I can get so overwhelmed with, existing, that my body will stop itself mid-motion. I often succumb to racing thoughts of how many texts, emails, and bodily pains I've left unanswered, circling the drain of all the energy I do not have, leaving me locked in the cage of my bed for hours. My mind is an old-time movie theater, where every day my prefrontal projectionist keeps picking a reel at random and the picture comes out blurry at best. I mean, he just can't seem to focus. I joke about how I leave so many things unfinished, but it's really to hide how heartbroken I am with all of the things that are finished with me, written me out of their stories, often while I was still a part of theirs, leading me to wonder, does my undiagnosed ADHD make me a shitty person? Or am I just a shitty person with unresolved self-loathing? And I know I should find therapy or get medication, but I have to find the right healthcare provider and make sure it's covered under my insurance, which I can't actually calculate until I check how many bills I need to refinance, which I actually can't really tell until I dig through the amount of unopened mail I've received over the past 6 months and cross-check how many 1099s and W-2s I'm supposed to receive. And fuck! Did I leave my bell pepper in the crisper? Again? Am I the bell pepper or the crisper? Am I the forgotten thing or the thing that only opens up when it's too late? Does my ramshackle brain contain a defect by the manufacturer, or did God just trust I'd be so fly that he could wing it with me? I am a prisoner to my own attention span, flickering like a half-light. I know my story is far from over, but I keep losing track of where I am. I can't tell if the punchline is something I build up to or something I eventually become, but I swear I'm going to get to the good part. Just wait. I just feel like the only line that haunts me is the finish one. Like sometimes the end will hit you before you even...
In this country, our skin is our only truth. Accents are irrelevant and words are even cheaper than the documents the government issued. The ugly deal behind the gaslighted publicity they shine as real as that skin is the only criteria for citizen, and if it doesn't look Caucasian, you're just a target for hazing. Send us your tired, hungry, and poor. That ad campaign expired a century ago or more. They ain't welcome on these shores, and let's be real, can't say anymore because the truth is that it never was before. The Constitution says the land of the free, but we all know the truth. The only way you get to stay here is when you pay with cash money. My country tisn't of thee, and the only mountains majesty we got aren't purple, they're green. They're owned by Big Pharma, Amazon, and Dollar Tree. Oh, and every politician who's been in office for more than a year or 3. It doesn't matter what the Constitution or the Bill of Rights or the courts told. We just throw them out in the cold, put them on ice. And once upon a time, that might have been nice, like Reuniti. That was back before ICE met power-hungry assholes with a badge and a pocket full of greedy. See, America playing the dating game with MAGA as the fans and the president hosting the show like Richard Dawson as the running man. What's next? The Terminator? He'll be back with another case of spray tan for the man with the master race plan. He's whitewashing our picket fences. Didn't you know? Orange is the new white. It's the color of bruise from government beat down and abuse. Human beings treated like refuse. What happened to the right to choose? Oh, that's right. It got buried in the landfill too. All the progress we made got overlaid by institutional white collar crime and their new world ordering the country one melanated skin at a time because the White House ain't nothing but a black market. Maybe if we give Ivanka the International Space Station, she might penny cup some change out of that Birkin bag and drop dime. Her DNA donor been studying how Hitler snake charmed Germany. You don't need to worry about race relations if you take all the diversity out of the 23andMe. Apparently, we forgot that an all-white world gives rise to bullies armed with a noose. Once hid behind hoods, now government contracted. And spilled blood is always cut by a whiter shade of pale. History is repeating itself again. This is not the execution of what America was meant to be. It's the execution of what we've been pretending was every American's dream. Freedom was what our government claimed, the right under God of every man. But ask anyone who has paid in tears for that dream and learned the hard way that it's dead. The real truth is that freedom means the fat cats get government pork sandwiches on Sunbeam bread. Everybody else got empty pockets and a voucher for a pound of government cheese instead. And if you try to redeem it, that office is closed. It got shut down because cutting citizens' life support was the purpose of Doge. Somebody once told me complaining without an alternate solution is nothing but bitching. So are we going to do something to make our country a better place, or are we going to sit here feeling helpless with our trigger finger itching? The country is what we make it. If it doesn't fit, we make alterations. Amendments are how we alter the bed sheets of this nation. So I'm sending us all a needle and thread. We will speak truth with ancestral tongues and restitch the flag from the labor of our hands into the patchwork of the rainbow the framers of the Constitution meant it to be. A nation reborn representing everyone's skin. Except orange. He lost the game. At least that's what Richard Dawson said.
They ask the question so casually. Do you have children? And every time, I swear, I can hear it before it happens. The soft slither of something ancient dragging itself awake inside me. A hiss beneath the ribs, scales shifting against memory because there are questions that sound harmless until they touch the wrong wound. Because when I say I can't, people freeze. They become petrified. You can almost hear the cracking sea. Everybody thinks Medusa's curse was turning people to stone, but nobody talks enough about what it must have felt like to watch people become unreachable the moment they truly saw her, to realize your pain had made you unbearable to look at directly. And I know that feeling intimately. Because grief like mine doesn't just live in the body, it slithers through holidays where babies pass between hands like blessings, while I hold paper plates pretending my arms aren't empty. Paper plates, women like me were never designed to survive the weight people place on them. Yet somehow they do, we do. Heat weakening the center, corners curling upward like something trying not to hiss, and still we carry. That feels familiar. My motherhood became serpentine the moment it was severed from me, transformed into something people don't know how to touch safely because I was a mother. The truth still coils inside me, and maybe that's the part people don't understand. Snakes shed skin, but they do not stop existing. Neither does motherhood, not after loss or foresee. The story of women has always been written in the language of transformation, and Medusa feels familiar. Violated inside a temple, then punished for reminding the gods what male entitlement looks like up close. People say Poseidon cursed her entering her body. I think the deeper curse came after, how easily the violated woman became the problem. And maybe that's why doctors felt like Poseidon to me, because they stood above me speaking in fluorescent language like my body was already public property, clinical, detached, priest of inevitability, standing over an altar deciding which parts of me were survivable. My body became territory, negotiable, something to be entered, managed, or overruled. And Athena, Sometimes the women closest to us become disciples of the systems that wounded them first. My mother survived storms by worshiping survival itself, even when survival cost casualties. And I wonder sometimes if Athena punished Medusa because what happened forced her to confront how powerless even goddesses were inside patriarchal worlds. Maybe it was easier to transform the daughter than challenge the gods. Maybe that's the inheritance women keep passing down: survive, even if it costs your daughters. People worship mothers as symbols, but abandon women the moment motherhood stops looking beautiful. And women like me, forced into impossible decisions, we become mythological creatures to society, neither madam nor mother. So society invents monster, and people freeze instead.
Wistful Tyria, blink bloomed, a shut door moment portended through starboard jeans where we play, fight, play, and think of what kisses might taste like. You zoned my interwebbed homily to the family of fevers I keep in my heat-seeking missile, missing the mark, another slinged shot in the dark. We daze the faded ways the sunset plays with hair and eyes, and the color gold bricked up like Fort Knox, roadblocks rocking the flocks of their fortunes. No cookies, no cartoons, no more matrimonial mistakes making themselves awake in these jungled up juice cups of nectar of follow-ups scheduled 3 weeks in advance. The rear view chance we caught the disease from each other, the weather, the milk of some mother of storms, electric and warm, a TV scene underwater like early morning dream steam, the way the eyes fiend for the spaces we create between, the whole thing slightly obscene, a capsized capture of lips that weren't loose but still sunk us both overboard, tossed to the cruising moves of manic waving jellyfish surfacing for skin to sting. Bless me, these messy sweat themes are blaming my body for damp things I wake to forget naming.
This depression seems to have a hold on me. The chains, though invisible, tighten around me every time I think I'm healing. The shackles on my wrists, I can't wiggle free. I mean, I remember one day somebody gave me the key and I was free for about a year, but then I came back unwillingly, but not necessarily kicking and screaming. I got tired of fighting, so I just gave into it. And I'm wondering, am I just a prisoner to this? This can't really be the reason I solely exist because this is no way to live. Stuck here in a constant fight, flight, or freeze. Please, somebody release this from me. This monkey on my back, this inconvenience, this chemical imbalance, a trauma response. Maybe I was born with this. I don't know when it exactly started, but whatever it is, I don't want it anymore. Release me from these shackles. I don't want to be on probation. I don't want to do a 6-month stint and come back again. I don't want to do weekends. I don't want to do any of it. I just want to be free, free to be happy, to find joy, to find peace. Yet this depression keeps following me and shackling me to this bed. The only thing is, you can't see the shackles because they're invisible. They're in my brain.
We're living in a society where our women are all becoming the same. They have no variety, drowning in social anxiety with the lack of sobriety and the actions of absence without propriety. Basically, in lamest terms, we turning social media into social media. But it's cool because your booty eating up them shorts and the lies they feeding you. Why not analyze the lies they feeding you? Because you want to beat, or bend that ass over. I'm a meek. They turning y'all into internet Megan Thee Stallions with every throw your booty challenge. And yes, your boobs may get you views, but the fact that you showing your rack to think you can get a rack, they got you misconstrued and they deceiving you. It's astonishing. You doing content for compliments, destroying your consciousness and common sense. What exactly are you accomplishing? Turning your body into profiting isn't a career that's promising. Ladies, believe me, I adore you. I'm not knocking you. I just think it's better options than being an online prostitute. And I don't constitute what you do to honor you. And I know it sounds like I'm getting on to you, but I'm not. I'm just having a hard time understanding what's the purpose of throwing your goods on a camera in a room that's dirtier than the minds of the men that's watching you. But I get it. You dealing with obstacles. But that doesn't mean you gotta twerk and stick up your bottom like a popsicle. Nobody's forcing you. That's optional. Because the probability of you finding your husband that way isn't very probable, damn near impossible. Because you getting DMs in the AM that say GM, but in the PM is the only time that you see him. And you getting hurt and confused on how you became a BM, listening to podcasts and radios that say F him like you wasn't the one that F'd him. And I'm not trying to stress you or test him. I'm just trying to make sure you don't fall for the next him. Because if you continue to accept him, you're going to find flaws in everybody around you except him. But shake your money maker like somebody about to pay you. Really? That's your money maker? The fact that your ass is your only asset is becoming asinine. Throwing your ass online probably because your personality or two and your asinine, but serious question. Do you do it because you love yourself? Do you do it because you hate yourself? Do you do it to see if that ass will pass the class of the masses? Why not just rate yourself? Why let a stranger give you an A, B, or C when you already degrade yourself? You in a bad situation when they can just get online and look to you for masturbation. How can you become a dream girl if you leaving nothing up to the imagination? It starts off as this fixation of infatuation, but eventually you'll get into real relations and you'll continue with this presentation. And they see what he see, and he see what they see, and we all see. It will turn into this complication and contemplation on whether y'all can make it through this situation. Steady having altercations because you feel like it's an obligation to continue to show your booty for compensation. Now it's back to isolation, separation. It's like your life is going through this same cycle, different simulation. And it feels like I'm judging you, but trust me, I'll fall short too. Because every time them videos come across my timeline, do I watch? I do. But hopefully we both realize you're more worth than the views, worth more than the views that's proven to ruin you.
As the crack of dawn stretches quiet and far, she inhales the morning mist atop her Honda CBR. One down, five up, like a sonata of a lone wolf, howling at the moon, running wild through the woods. What the hell, she grins and takes flight. Traffic floods the streets. She's void of fright. All lights turn green. She's set to go. She cuts through lanes like a seasoned pro. Zig and zag through cars with ease. Leaning low, the ground she'll tease. Void of chicken strips, her tires grip. Whipping steel on streets she was born to rip. Faster, faster, she feels the lift. And man darts out. No time to downshift. They collide. Thank God she dressed for the slide. Her bike flips once, nowhere to hide. She shields her face and tries to stand, but darkness pulls her by the hand. Now in a cellar bedroom that she rents, she sleeps while 8 months pregnant. Belly out, cold and sore, she dreams of writing once more. At 4 a.m., the door swings wide. He stumbles in, his pride defied. She turns away to find her peace, but he won't stop. He wants release. She warns him softly, please not now. He sneers and takes her anyhow. The biker wakes, an ambulance screams, pain and sirens permeate her dreams. They sedate her. No, she pleads. She's back again between his knees. They roll onto the remote, TV glows, exposing truths that no one knows. A hickey blooms that isn't hers. She kicks and swings. Her vision blurs. At hospital, she's wheeled beneath a blinding light. Relax, they say. You'll be all right. She begs, don't let me wake again. But the drugs drag her deeper in. In her bedroom, a tear falls from her face. She attempts to flee, but he gives chase. She makes it halfway up the stairs. He grabs her leg. Her belly tears, dragging her down each tread, her every inch filled with dread. In the recovery room, hands in the cast, she whispers, how long will this last? They say she's free. She shakes her head. Leave me asleep instead. Afraid to return to reality, she pleads silently. I'd rather have died on that motorcycle than awake to my husband, the cycle. So please just let me dream, not respawn in my life's endless scream.
I was raised like a spoiler alert. Everybody around me knowing something catastrophic was coming before I did. Mama looked at me like Professor X staring at Cerebro smoke, half pride, half, this girl gonna level cities with her feelings. And she was right. I've been apocalypse coded since adolescence, a walking retcon, a soft-spoken extinction event, the kind of woman Marvel writes when they want trauma to wear lipstick. See, my mind don't think in multiverses. Every memory got alternate endings. Every heartbreak became cannon fire somewhere else. Every I love you turns into crossover episodes between devotion and self destruction. See, that's Phoenix math. You call it overthinking. I call it telepathy with without health insurance, because loving me is like downloading Cerebro on dial-up bandwidth. Too much signal, not enough mortal hardware. See, I hear everything from the pause before abandonment to the lowercase k, the way silence enters a room dressed like Wolverine after another failed resurrection. Baby, see, I can sense betrayal before the writer room finishes drafting it. That's why I love defensively, like Magneto holding metal together with grief alone, like a woman turning her rib cage into an Animanian panic room. You think my attitude toxic? Nah, this is just that Dark Phoenix saga, told from the villain's perspective. History always calls women unstable when they stop dying quietly. And ain't that some nerd shit? How they feared Jean Grey, not because she lost control, but because she finally realized control was a collar. I felt that shit in my spirit. Because people only adore powerful women when the power behaves domesticated. Telekinesis, but make it feminine. Godhood, but keep it cute. Burn the whole universe down. Sure, just do it apologetically. Meanwhile, I'm over here turning heartbreak into cosmic radiation. I got abandonment issues mutating in my bloodstream like Centennials programmed by ex-lovers. Every man who tried to handle me ended up looking like a collateral damage scene in a Stan Lee cameo. Rest in peace to those civilians, because I don't crash out. I origin stories. There's a difference. I don't lose my mind. My mind simply exists in Earth 616 and return and wearing fire like a fur coat. I make eye contact like boss battles, the final form, like, are you sure you selected nightmare difficulty? And somehow I still want tenderness. Somehow I still want somebody who can hold my hand without trying to depower me. Somebody who understands the phoenix is a resurrection bird, not a warning label. That my rage is sacred geometry. That my sadness got infinity stones in it. That every version of me that died still echoes through the timeline like mutant genes refusing extinction. See, most people meet my body, but very few survive my lore, because I love like comic collectors, obsessive, expensive, and one issue away from collapse. I got enough emotional baggage to fill the X-jet overhead compartment, and still I rise again and again like sequels nobody asked for, but everybody secretly needed. That's the thing about women like me. We don't heal. We respawn cinematic. Flames licking the edges of our names, mouthful of prophecy and smoke, heart beating like theme music during the final battle scene. So if I seem too intense, too knowing, too much, remember, Jean Grey wasn't cursed because she burned everything down. She burned everything down because nobody taught her how to hold a universe without setting herself on fire first.
Looking for the right bra is exactly like looking for the right man. Because why is it so hard to find something that claims it's supportive and actually means it? I walk into the store hopeful, measuring tape around my rib cage like today might be the day. That first Bobby line says it's a 38 double D, but squeezes me like it's mad at my happiness. Just like him. Said he was emotionally available, but disappeared the moment I asked for consistency. See, some bras look good on the hanger, lace, cute, confident, but the minute you put it on, it's poking you, rubbing you the wrong way, and slowly cutting off your circulation. That's not sexy. That's a red flag with straps. And let's talk about the one with no support, no lift, no structure, just vibes. Sir, you are a bralette, cute for a little while, but I can't build a future in you. Then there's the one that's too tight, won't let you breathe, won't let you move, wants to control everything. If I have to take you off the moment I get home, you are not the one. And don't get me started with the cheap ones, cost less than my piece and last about the same amount of time, but every now and then, every now and then you find the one fits just right, holds you up without hurting you, doesn't dig into your size or ask you to shrink to be comfortable. You forget you're even wearing it. And that's when you know this isn't pressure, this is support. So, no, I'm not picky. I just refuse to settle for something that looks good but leaves me sore, exhausted, and counting down the minutes until I can take it off. I don't need perfect. I need secure, comfortable, reliable. Because at this age, I don't want a bra or a man. I have to keep adjusting all day long. And if you can't support me, please remain on the rack.
1057, the language of photographs. The language of photographs. Photographs speak into a language older than words. They whisper through fading corners, through silver light and paper skin, through the fingerprints left behind like ghosts refusing to disappear. A picture is not just a picture. It's a doorway, a return ticket to a moment on the rise gone. We stand behind the lens, trying to bargain with time. Asking it softly, please let it last forever, so capture we cherish, we remember. Every photograph is a pressed flower from the garden of a lifeline. Holding the distance, a scene of vanished summers, holding the sunlight of people who no longer stand beside us except in memories inside a photograph. I breathe in, exhale. While turning journeys, continuing, breathing a mother laughter into the kitchen and grandmother wets her hands. Kitchens, children barefoot in the grass before the world taught them sorrow. The pages turn like seasons turning, and there are always stories in the treasure. Stitched together by light, small eternities frame into silence. We live in the moments without knowing. The moment of living, of alive is enough. To become scared, somebody years passes. Faces, ages like old maps of the crater of folding into too many times of the face of my mother. Voices become echoes, houses appear, roads change names. But photographs remind, remember, lanterns hanging inside the dark highway of time. Take me back, they whisper. Back to the porch swings and midnight drives. Back to the wedding dances and starting windows. Back to the ordinary days that become holy because they need it. Love lives there, longest there, not into the diamonds or momentums, but captures seconds, tiny consolations, and memory, burning quietly against forgetting. My ancestors signed my book with invisible ink. I see these septum like semi-dyed shadows, their eyes like mirrors carrying centuries, their smiles surviving minds, their prayers still breathe through my bloodline. Each photograph is a bridge between the loving and the loss of a river generation meets, from one trembling moment to the lights. And when they even own heads become dust and distance. When my voice becomes only when inside something easily memory. I hope these pictures will remain proof that I was here, that I was deeply, that I walked this journey of earth and time with my heart open to wonder. Because photographs do not mercilessly capture pieces, they capture soul learning how to stay. After every living thing, everything else is gone, diamond under pressure.
I'm calling you this late because, frankly, I knew you'd answer. I've used you as a lifeline. Now you view me as a cancer. We were baptized in red dirt. Morgan Wallen's God's country. Tulsa race riots. Sanitized lunch meat. Sardine schools were black gold rules. The Sunday funnies were corrupted scriptures funneled to underfunded good old boys bumping gospel music, dipping tobacco, and stepped on amphetamines. Remember when I'd pluck you out of Oklahoma history? I'd bullshit your substitute, name you a vital revolute in my AP Physics capstone, and we just joke around all hour till we're chiseled at the cheekbone. I remember driving to OKC to visit your big sister. Waffle House and Chopin. You and I rekindled something I never really had and didn't know that I had been missing. I traded ignorance for bliss. Oh, Baroque baby brother, virtuoso like no other. My best friend, I broke you down and colored you by number. Two erratic faggot addicts don't need practice to get manic. I was manic, I got mad, and in my panic, I abused you. I don't get to feel bereft. Even at my best, I crack-piped what little goodwill we still had. I don't deserve to make amends. There's no way to rescind what I did, and I'm sorry. Truly, I'm so fucking sorry. I love you. I love you, and I just wanted. I needed you to hear that. I don't want to hear it back.
I search for you in each small act of waiting, eyes scanning the distance for your silhouette against the horizon. You are in every rise of the sun, painting me in the glow of your divinity's manifestation. When I look to the moon to comfort me in the night, I see you in its reflection. Yet when I reach out to touch you, you are always just beyond my reach. So I hold you within my heart instead, a reminder that even when the skies darken, the moon will rise, a beacon to guide me home. Home. I never understood the word. Now I can smell it, taste it, like the salt of a sea breeze. It stings the raw parts of me, a bitter reminder of what it is to be homesick for a place you've never been, the touch of a person you have never known, the kind of longing that splits the soul into two and casts a half away, keeping me torn parchment, oceans and hours seeping from the wound. I swim through my dreams of you, treading water until the waves threaten to pull me under. I cough the longing from my lungs and rest a while, the flow of your voice washing over me as I catch my breath. Even when I am awake, I find myself shifting, just so, a subconscious need to close the distance, 1 inch at a time. Sometimes I spin the globe, as if I could see you standing there. I walk my fingerprints over the plastic painted in hues of green and blue. Each print I leave are a billion footsteps not yet taken. I am one half of a love story, mirrored verses shining under the same constellations but seeing from the opposite side. Some nights I curse the stars for lying, others I find myself cradled in a warm embrace of almost and someday. I look to the same moon as it blinks to the clouds like a dying bulb. It's there, in that pulse I find hope. I see the way home as I look at the path now written behind my eyes. I take the first step and then the one after. And when I take my rest, the waves still lap at my longing behind closed eyes, but I have learned to listen through the tide. Above me, a gull sings a love song, and I gift it with a smile for its kindness as it becomes my guide, leading me home to you in our little place outside space and time, made of wanting, a map of maybes. So I whisper to the miles, soon, my love, soon.
Will freedom ring? From chains to shackles, from whispers to cries, the ancestors march with freedom in their eyes. Through middle passage darkness, through pain and through blood, they carried their souls like embers in a flood. In the fields of cotton, in the heat of the day, they worked and they wept but refused to fade away. Their sweat and their tears like rivers that flow, watering seeds of freedom as they learned to grow. Harriet led the way and fueled her fire to conduct the Underground Railroad like a heavenly choir. Sojourners spoke the truth with a voice like a bell that rang out for equality in order for justice to dwell. In Birmingham streets, which was Selma's fight, marching feet echoed with freedom as a plight. Martin's dream echoed like a prayer in the night. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we're free at last. From Montgomery buses to the March on D.C., the people rose up with a righteous decree. They faced down the hoses, the dogs, and the hate, but they still stood tall with a love that wouldn't wait. Now freedom rings loud like a clarion call, echoing through history, standing tall. The chains were broken, the walls were torn, and justice was supposed to be finally found. Fast forward to now, freedom isn't so sound. Everything, including our freedom, is fair game. People being chosen, not caring about all of the people, only show our ancestors knew what was to come. Their legacy lives on, guiding us forward while those in office are trying to take us back. Are we going to let up the slack or take our nation back? United we stand, but divided we shall fall. Will you answer the call or be part of the reason we fall? May God help us all.
Mom believed in Jesus. Mom believed in Jesus, but I'm a son of Obatala. Evolution took me full circle back to the beginning, before black men hung from trees, whose roots grow deep as Ile Ife, emanating from the loins of Oshun, not forced by slavers' whips into abandonment of ancestral visions. Scars as deep as the Atlantic, middle passage in my DNA, memory everlasting, twisted and locked like Nazis' dread before the Romans merged Heru in that dissident Apollonius of Tyana to invent the Lord of Lords that you call Jesus. Before Europe's darkest age, when Elizabeth made twisted James the King, who hijacked Biblio Helios and sold it to you as gospel. I come through pyramids to kneel at obelisks. Secrets of the Sphinx I sing, for man fears time, but time fears the Sphinx. This Yadaki on my shoulder sounded the world into being. I descended from the cosmos, sent by Olodumare on the web of spiders, before the earth had seasons. You try to figure me out, not understanding the poetry nor the reason. You thought I wore my hair in locks because of Rastafari, but those sacred antennae were the connections to the messengers of God that existed long before him. So don't be fooled by photographs that only tell part of the story. The soul has no beginning and no end. The kingdom of heaven is within, and this is just an image of my holy temple. I snort wheatgrass juice for breakfast. It opens my third eye to the Most High, telling me not to use my stomach as a cemetery for dead animals. A party with 40s of carrot juice, ginger, and beets helps my tantric love last. I smoke blunts or poetry, shifts my paradigm, helps me rhyme on time, in time. If there is time, I question it. But then I question everything. It's this telepathy, perhaps you've heard of me. I communicate with trees. They tell me gossip. Their roots run deep to the center of the universe. I open chakras too. I use my didgeridoo for cultural healing when I play for you. These similes and metaphors open the doors to your mind that was shut. That's why we're in such a rut. But I channel knowledge from the kingdom of King Tut. I was a citizen of Atlantis in a past life. That's why I swim through this illusion that you think of as life. This one of pain and strife, where you'll be imprisoned for eternity until your mind breaks free and you can really see things can change when you question authority. Like the elimination of reincarnation in 325 AD. I have no use for a compass. I read the earth's blueprints. Don't believe in owning land or paying landlord's rent. I always give praise to the 7 directions. I know that the soul is an act of perfection. We're all made in the image of God, but God has no body. So I study the travel of the soul. It never grows old, at least not the way that you think of as old. For soul is eternal, never ending. The kingdom of heaven is within. There are spirits seen and unseen, spirits known and unknown, singing life is full of riddles that only the dead can answer. If you listen, you can hear them in the echoes of the wind, chanting siren sounds from the place that time began. There goes that word again. I believe in all things as opposed to those who believe in nothing. I am the center of the crossroads that all souls travel through, a traverse point to the cosmos protected. I live in all worlds, exist in all things, Place your palm to mine, retrieve your memory. There's a TV screen in the third eye, viewing the Akashic records from the Most High. Trace your roots and return to the light. Hetapu.
I didn't know why I needed to make that drive. I only knew I needed to burn those 2,700 miles. Maybe that's why I wouldn't let him pay me. It seemed odd to receive payment for what was my form of self-therapy. It was seductive and validating, empowering and innervating, and I thought maybe I could drive away my pain, flattening and stretching it against the pavement like I was overworking the dough of my psyche to allow that healing to proof on the road and be baked by the friction of tires on asphalt and road salt, to come home transformed, because I was in a place where I just couldn't carry it as it was anymore. So I created a portal for escape, where I could put my foot in the floor and let the heartbreak drain away with the miles, a distaff Kerouac armed with liquid death and crunchy snacks, and a voice app instead of a pen. When they asked me why, I gave them a small white lie. Drive to Texas, deliver the car. I've never driven cross country, and who knows if I'll ever have the opportunity to drive that far again on the wave of someone else's penny jar. Immerse myself in the countryside, just marinate in the scenery, see a part of America, and reiki my heart with country I'd never seen before, and contemplate my plate full of personal, because I just couldn't wallow in my trauma anymore. I knew there was something I could grasp that had the power to be magical and transformative. So while at that moment I couldn't have exactly said why I needed to take that ride, I just knew I needed to stick the key in the switch and drive. I left in darkness, against all advice, rain pouring biblically, but determined to mine virtue from vice. It was not going to be a stroll in the park, and everyone said it was a sketchy way to start. Why don't you wait till morning? You hate bridges. Tunnels give you the hives. You can't half back that trailer, and it's hard to see at night. And I thought for a second about waiting out the light, but I needed that Control-Alt-Delete to happen right then. I needed that reboot of my life. That first night drive was hairy. Wondered, was I crazy to do this thing? But I needed to clear out my system tray of programs stuck on not responding. I needed to manifest change. I needed a breakthrough, so I drove and let the rain drown the negative equations. I was on a mission to cleanse my heart and heal, to find variables that net to zero sum, to ease the burn of love destroyed from damage I had done. So I pushed on in darkness through the rain, wiper swishing metronome, mapping pain. It was a strange beginning, but it was exactly as it was supposed to be. And by the Georgia line, I could feel the exfoliation begin. The universe was going to scrape me raw. Let the revelations begin. I was ready for some personal shock and awe. As dawn rose, I was feeling feeding 100 gallons to the beast, an endless stream of oily blue-green, and I saw that I was feeding it the way I had demanded he feed me. Without quandary or qualm, I had sucked him dry, drained him empty vampire style, a junkie with a habit, a need that swallowed us whole, absorbing every molecule of his love and energy, triggering his anxiety and me, petulant and shedding tears and asking him why he couldn't give me more. I thought about filling that tank and how it seemed endless to get the level to the top. I, too, had been bottomless. I could not get enough. I had choked him out harder than poison ivy on oak. I paid for the fuel and resolved that I would fix my shit. I don't like it when I'm selfish, and I realized then that this trip would be more than just getting over him. I was a snake shedding a lifetime of dead skin. How had it begun? Damaged attachments, abuse, rape. The road freed my head of that scaffolding, and I saw my past in uncharted new ways. He needed to place me in a space that didn't threaten his regular life's rhythm, so he lied about almost everything in order to be given unto me, and I lied right back, desperate to keep him, desperate to stoke his desire, fearing I wasn't enough, while simultaneously throwing my real life onto a funeral pyre. We were illusion. that burst like a party balloon. The road brought me clarity, like fog resolved into sunlight from diesel fumes. In Alabama, I realized I had given myself away, him the ruling recipient of my inadvisable gift. I reflected deeply on the rift my actions created with my husband and my child. It was dangerous to all our sanity, but at the time, I was convinced he hung the moon, and chasing moonbeams from a stranger seemed more desirable than fixing the impossible problems that overwhelmed me. By Mississippi, I could see we both got what we needed. And regardless of how dysfunctional it was, when it ended, my heart was empty from the bleeding. But then again, they say turnabout is played fairly. And it's dangerous to play Russian roulette with a gun loaded with codependency. Knowledge of self expanded as the miles dropped away, and I finally saw it clearly. I had taken your label and made it my own brand of haute couture, then shrank myself until got lost in those clothes while he slipped away back home, my cries inaudible beneath the cawing of the crows. Crossed into Louisiana. Still searching and reconciling, the hum of the miles had me starting to question the false narrative my brain had been perpetuating, that he was the second coming of Christ, making me see Jesus every night, to speak in tongues. Spent 5 years believing he was the one, and yet how many times did he leave me in tears? I had convinced myself that his limitations were the city limits of my home country. I had dissolved my borders and thrown away my boundaries with nothing to show except broken hearts and a divorce decree. I rolled into Texas on a broken road, dreams and pavement and everything in between. 1,200 miles down, I was halfway to find, and I finally saw the truth, that I'd just been bedazzling the casket I chose to bury myself. You killed us when you walked away, yanked the life support and said goodbye, left me for the doctors to sing my dirge. Hell, even the doctors you kicked to the curb. I was flattened, just unable to grasp or cope. It wasn't over for me, even though I was buried dead from your undertaking and your sorcerer's alchemy. The contagion of your nonchalance spread and turned my being gray, like my hair. I was monochrome and without any sun to warm, no longer oxygenated, only asphyxiated, because he generated no sympathy in my heart. Drove away with me stuffed into a hearse, only to shove me into a room with black walls that spoke to me in poetic verse, and suddenly I could picture the entire scene. We had been friends who fell in love with dopamine, and that was the revelation I needed to extract from my cross-country trip. For him to so easily just dip out and return to his wife, but I destroyed my marriage for smoke, mirrors, and a 2-for-1 special on brain chemicals immersed in shaved ice with color added in the form of purple-colored sweet. The Empress sold her empire for a robe that left her standing in the road wearing nothing but bare feet.
I became a necromancer because silence was never a grave that could hold me. See, I tried burying it, gave my pain proper funerals, folded grief into caskets of I'm okay. So you said my eulogies in private, soft enough that nobody would think to dig, but I learned early some graves don't stay closed. I have clawed through my own soil, fingers blistered with memory, unearthed bones I buried on purpose, held them up to the light like proof of survival that refused to stay quiet. Even Marie Laveau would recognize this kind of ritual. The way I make the past answer when it would rather stay legend. Now, old versions of me raise themselves. Uninvited like folklore, pass mouth to mouth until the details change, but the terror stays the same. They come back as myth. Remember when you survived that? Like survival wasn't just another word for unfinished business. So I learned to meet them halfway. I have seen myself in legend, a girl who swallowed her voice so many times it started speaking back in echoes, a woman who stitched her wounds closed with performance, called it poetry, power, called it anything but what it was, a ritual to keep the dead busy. But let me be clear, this ain't haunting, it's practice. Because when I write, I'm not creating, I'm summoning, drawing circles in the margins of my notebooks, turning stanzas into spell work, each line a command to rise. I call them by name now. Every silenced version of me that learned how to disappear, to survive, come back. Not as fragments or as echoes, but whole enough to testify. My pen don't bleed ink, it bleeds access. A doorway, a contract, a negotiation between who I was and who I refuse to stay. Don't get it twisted. This ain't just resurrection, it's demonstration. I will write a line so sharp it splits the distance between us. Reach inside your chest without ever touching you. Pull your heart out in metaphor, make it boom, 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 in my rhythm, then put it back different. But necromancy has rules, and nobody told me about the retries. Sometimes the spell doesn't take right. Sometimes I call back a memory and it comes back wrong, missing pieces, glitching at the edges, looping the same hurt like it forgot how to end differently. Sometimes I resurrect a version of me that never learned how to heal, and she doesn't recognize the woman I became. She looks at me like I abandoned her. So I sit with her inside the ritual, hands steady, even when my voice isn't. And I tell her, I didn't leave you. I just learned how to survive you. And sometimes I don't call anything at all, and they still come in the middle of a laugh, in the quiet between breaths, in the space where I almost feel whole. Tell me, what kind of magic is this where the dead don't need permission? Or maybe what kind of power learns how to answer anyway? So I keep writing, not because it saves me, but because it gives me authority, a place to decide which ghosts get to speak and which ones finally get to rest. Because if I don't name them, they sure gonna name me.
Tropic of Cancer. You gave me a key to a box that wasn't a box, a skeleton of a body that never was. You plucked tiny stars from twinkling diamonds left behind in mine shaft solitude. You made me a box that could not unlock, a key that could not turn. You gave me reasons that looked like love letters, monarch butterfly wings pinned to paper. You gave me poems, so many mouthfuls, tattered prayer flags meant for peace. You didn't pray, but the colors left you livelier, and the keys hung on a heavy ring, the boxes sealed shut, the mouths full and choking. You gave me hibiscus and jasmine, gardenia, drank coffee from black grounds brewed blacker. I thought of you like tiny sparks, like skittering flashes of fish under a tropic moon. We crossed a bridge full of locks hung by strangers and acts of love. But my longing took hold, your locks slid open, my key stayed hidden, and the door was a dream. Who dares escape a room without walls? The pyramid theories more ancient than old. I carry this box made by my mother from wood collected on a daredevil beach, too violent for drifting, too wild for locks. I am a reason now, a key to a love song, a box full of letters burnt down to ash. We are a garden here, vines of forgiveness circling stones, a butterfly whisper, a twinkling fury forged into flame. The skin was a box once. The key was your name. You, butterfly, affected me, wrecked me, gave me a reason to behave like you were still next to me. And I'm not talking about sexually, more of a mentally stimulating energy that kept us thriving exceptionally. Time lasted an eternity before you seemed to turn on me, before you learned to stop learning me, burning me, before you left the hurt they see and left me with this jealousy for everyone who loves callously. An ambidextrous lesson in what not to mention when one side of your mouth is stuck in suspension between disbelief and a new kind of ascension while I'm drawing old men playing chess, collecting their pensions, ignoring the linchpin of unliving sin, all the ways to get caught giving in, the orchestra poised in midair, waiting on the sign to begin, mimicking the wind on those late autumn nights when the veil grows thin enough to feel the dead, heal what bled, feed what's been so long needing to be fed, get these thoughts out of my head, these barnacled boys out of my bed. A licking, like mocking, the way you weren't talking, weren't moving your mouth or considering stopping, so I give you the dropping counts of amounts of princes turned frog kings in fairy tale forests.
The glass slipper slides on, but the prince keeps shopping for a godmother's girl, temporarily jaw-dropping, a heartbeat worth quickening, the price on the lips to stop it from stopping.
My emotions resembles a Spotify playlist on shuffle. We can go from a heavy conversation debating relationships, parenting, religion, you name it. And in the next breath, I'll ask, what do you want for dinner? Fried, barbecue, or grilled? Plate it eloquently, serve it with a kiss. And we move on like the first disagreement never even existed. Pour into you, then explain why you really do need therapy, hype you up for a presentation. I'm the number one cheerleader. I'll be deep in conversation with you, debating how the world should move, and then suddenly yell, turn that up, that's my song, and start car dancing and twerking, singing my own rendition because I never know the lyrics. Ladies and gentlemen, the neurodivergent emotional support DJ has entered the chat. With me, you never know what you're going to get. But whatever it is probably going to be a real treat because they're all songs you eventually favorite. I go from gospel to R&B to jazz to eclectic, throw a little country in there, and at the top of the list, let's not forget Billie Eilish because she exists in a league of her own, and honestly, so do I. If we're being honest, I am the random playlist on shuffle. I am the playlist you send to all of your friends, and when they start singing a familiar song, you look over, smile, and say, what you know about this? Because there's something special on this playlist for everybody, for every occasion.
Hey, yo, princess, I want to be your Super Mario. I guess that's why lately I've been getting into fitness and cardio, because if you ever decide to fall for me, I'll be right there to catch you no matter the scenario, yo, princess. Let me be your Super Mario. And I know you don't see me in that way. And I know it seems obscene, but I've seen a scene of you and me walking through perfect scenery of harmony where you're allowed to let go, let your demeanor free, because I've noticed demeanor you are, the more you put up brick walls for the world to see, but you don't look like a construction worker to me. No, you look like you go through life more strategically, like it is a game of chess. So yes, be queen for me, princess. Because if this is a game of chess, then I must confess that I am no rook. But I do recall on one night a bishop said, you and me, king and queen, will go on a boardwalk. Nothing egregiously, but I do agree. Just let me pawn every one of your nightmares in exchange for dreams. Cast me into your dreams. And there's no need to rush. We can go through this life at our own speed. And I know all about Sonic the Hedgehog, but what's more concerning than me is that when I look at our knuckles, the only thing I can see missing is rings. Rings. One for you, one for me, where we can finally come together, mind our own business, but become more than each other's company, because I'm trying to love you for real, for real. There's no need to pretendo our love or crescendo. Just give me uno momento, because I may not get it right the first 9 times, but I promise you I'll get it in 10, though. So, princess, can you see me being your Super Mario? Because if you can, then you no longer have to worry about being a damsel in distress or the stress of being a damsel. Because any issues you go through, that's something that we can handle. Be yourself, be natural, because the space that I will create will be a safe one, no matter what the culture chooses to cancel. See, I'm trying to do more than just rescue you from some castle. I'm trying to cherish every moment that I'm around you. I'm so elated that I found you, so elated that I concentrated on the top of the Himalayas with our love just to see what this can amount to. And if that's not enough, let's see what this can amount 10. Because I will go to Everest just to show you this is something I wouldn't ever risk. And if I can find something as special as this, I can allow some villain to take me away from you, me, like I wouldn't want to be taken away from you. But I guess I have been your Super Mario, seeing as I've been on all of these stages looking for you, princess. Thinking that finding someone like you was just some pipe dream. Because even if I might seem to find someone that deemed themselves as one of those, I would always overlook them because it's hard to spot those. Because nowadays, princesses don't want to be princesses. They just want to smash bros. Wowzers. But even I can't critique them because I've been less Super Mario and more Bowser. And it sucks to admit that I've never been enough. It sucks to admit that I've been Bowser because I've been keeping princesses away from the one that they're actually supposed to love, actually treating them egregious. So, men, when I say this, trust and believe this. If you find your princess, there's no need to keep searching for peaches, but to each his own. But to my princess, I promise you I'm in a different zone. I get nervous every time I'm around you. You can listen to my heart next to a metronome. It even sounds like bum, 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 bum. like our favorite song. So this can't be certain to you, but this is certain to me. And I don't need much room or mushrooms to become a better version of me. All I need is my princess to need her Super Mario permanently.
Skelly cap, ski mask, gotta play the game to win. Simon says, hand over heart, put your right foot in. Hopscotch chalked where the rubber bullets lay. Eeny meeny, fate flips, somebody's day today. Double Dutch, tension slips, cuffs, burning wrists. On your mark, set, go, trigger finger itch. Bring around the rosy, ashes left of our laws. Red light, green light, protesters killed without cause. Kick the can, pepper spray, non-violent man. Mother may I, executed on his knees and on his hands. Hot potato, pass the trauma quick. If he hollers leaning in, lies by her car he wasn't hit. Red Rover over walls, ice excessive in their force. Manhunt, freeze tag, still get torch. Cat's cradle, those pulling strings gotta let 'em know. OUT spells out, so out you must go. Don't quote me on the timeline of these events. After mom was shot, my stepdad's mask went. After years of physical therapy, her face sealed shut. Doctors warned she never walk, and since she never got back up. Locked her away with pill bottles and alcohol. Guess that's how he found his way of not dealing at all. The brewing cruelty and lack of empathy, with silence drowned out, then came the epiphany of not raising two girls who weren't of his bloodline or caring for a woman with her body in decline. I think back, when was the exact moment he decided? Pack us up and start driving. Was he divided? The 6-day journey from Cali to New York. Didn't hesitate as we crossed Nevada and I suffered a heat stroke. I still remember the thickening tension one could cut with a knife. Mom, desperate to change the vibe. Kelly, my stepdad, stood quite stoic like he was dead inside. As he did that time, he murdered my dog without remorse. As he did when I wet the bed, Mom hadn't returned home in months. Once we arrived, he executed his plan, removed our luggage, opened her wheelchair, and placed her in like a real gentleman. Like garbage awaiting its turn for pickup. Without a goodbye, sped off, leaving us curbside. Welcome to East New York, Killamilla at Grandma's where we reside. Did my abandonment issues start with my real dad or him? So many male disappointments can't pinpoint where the trauma began. The essence of a person is not in their last name, and what doesn't break us makes us pleasantly strange. DFY, Division for Youth, divided us from our family. Punishment for ceilings, behaving reactively. We joke, called it down for years. Comic relief to laugh off the tears. Stuck inside as I fought my case. Bail offered, but my family thought that was a waste. Let her pay for the consequences of her actions, even when they were basic propagation. Easier to let me wilt alone in the darkness of jail than shine sunlight on the many ways they had failed. I once was told I didn't realize how beautiful I was. How could I? When all my life they only pointed out my flaws. Oh, she's so skinny. Why don't you comb your hair? Always looking like a boy. You should dress like you care. I shrank behind their pine trees, swallowing my cries. Their allelopathic properties deny me the ability to photosynthesize. I do anything to repulse the advances of men. I just never expected to be denied soil and water from the woman. Their insults paraquat exacerbating my childhood trauma, yet all was eclipsed by the mold down restraints and DFY drama. I contemplated several times cutting my wrists, but I lacked that degree of selfish, so I became a masochist. I'd cut the innards of my stems and roots, places easiest to hide when no one looks, until I traded blades for ink and hues, the adulting way of coping with unhealed abuse. Now my body blooms in artwork worn, each tattoo a petal from emotions torn. Healthier coping, my psychiatrist says. Progress is a garden grown in tiny threads. I haven't reached for new body art in a while. Healing has softened where pain used to pile. Happiness unlocked the day I found the key, embracing all the ugly and beauty in and outside of me. My showers became rainstorms where my wildflowers bloom. Now the aroma of my confidence turns heads as I enter a room. Freud's theory of evolution. Defense mechanisms take on many forms, so don't pick the flower if you can't handle her thorns.
You taught me that love could not rot inside a house without anybody calling it decay. Taught me how silence can mildew the walls faster than rain, how apologies can sound like dishes breaking in the kitchen at 2 a.m., how a woman can cry so quietly that the children in the next room learn how to sleep through suffering. Mama told me, do as I say, not as I do. Like motherhood was a courtroom while your words deserved custody even when your actions disappeared for days. And I listen. God knows I listen. Because children will build churches out of anything that their mothers say. Mama always told me pain was a part of a woman's life, not a might be, not a sometimes. She spoke about suffering like it was puberty, like every girl eventually wakes up bleeding from someone. So I grew up believing that womanhood meant endurance, meant swallowing tears like medicine, meant learning how to smile with your back against the landlord's fist. See, mama always told me, never depend on a man, all while depending on the memories of one to ruin the room, every room she walked into. And maybe that's what broke me first, realizing I was born looking too much like the person who broke her heart. My face became her haunting. Every time she looked at me, she saw him leaving again, saw betrayal learning how to walk, saw old love letters catching fire, saw the man that she loved living comfortably inside the bones of her daughter. See, I became a punishment that neither one of us deserved. Your addictions raised me too, maybe more than you did sometimes. See, it sat at the table with us, slept in hallways, ate through the paychecks, turned the lights off, made the water cold, made excuses sound holy. See, your addiction taught me arithmetic better than any teacher ever could. I learned how to divide hunger equally, how to subtract wants from needs, how to count coins on the counter while my classmates counted sheep. I knew what overdraft fees were before I knew what love was supposed to feel like. I learned grocery shopping like it was a combat training, standing in store aisles doing calculations in my head with the seriousness of somebody defusing a bomb. If milk costs this much, then bread has to wait. And if the gas bill gets paid, then maybe we eat noodles again. And if mama's gone for 2 more days, how long before they shut everything off? I was solving algebra equations while trying to solve adulthood, finding X while wondering why no one noticed the child carrying the household on her back like a casket. Teachers called me mature for my age. No, I was exhausted for my age. There's a difference. See, I knew how to pay bills before I knew how to braid my own hair properly. Knew customer service voices, knew due dates, final notices, knew the sound of fake promises through a disconnected phone line. I learned survival instead of childhood. Other kids came home to snacks and cartoons. I came home to anxiety dressed like responsibilities, to cabinets that echoed, to your sadness sleeping on the couch, to wondering which version of you was coming through the door that night, the mother who kissed me on my forehead or the one who couldn't look at me in the eye. Some nights I hated you for making me grow up so fast. Some nights I hated myself for understanding why you couldn't stop hurting, because I saw it, mama. Even then, I saw how heartbreak hollowed you out, how abandonment turned your spirit into a boarded up church, how loving the wrong man made you treat joy like something too expensive to keep. And I think you were drowning so long you forgot that children can drown with you without making a sound. And still, I loved you. That's the cruelest part. No matter how heavy the house became, I still waited for your good days like they were holidays and still defended you to people who never saw how tender you could be between disasters, because sometimes you hold me softly and it confused all the pain inside me. And then sometimes your voice sounded like home before home broke. In those moments, those tiny moments kept me loyal to a fire that kept burning me alive. I inherited your fear before I inherited your wisdom, your survival instincts before your softness, your grief before your recipe. See, you taught me how to survive men before I learned how to love one properly. Taught me independence with eviction notices taped to lesson plans. Taught me strength by disappearing whenever life got too heavy. And now I carry that into adulthood like a child carries groceries, arms trembling, dropping things, pretending it isn't too much weight. But mama, I see you now, clearer than I did back then. You were not born cruel. Life carved survival into you with a dull knife. You were a woman trying to mother through untreated grief, through addiction, through heartbreak that never stopped bleeding. And maybe that's the tragedy, passed from mother to daughter. How wounded women sometimes raise wounded girls while praying the damage looks enough like strength. Passes love.
Last night I cried, tossed and turned. I woke up with dry eyes, my mind was racing, feet were pacing. Lord help me, please tell me what I have gotten into. The first time you touched me, it wasn't love, it was chemistry. Straight to the vein, no warning label, no dosage instructions, just fire in my bloodstream and a craving I ain't recovered from. See you, your cocaine confidence, heroin hunger, nicotine need. I tell myself I can quit, but my lips keep searching for the lighter and my body keeps begging for the needle. Your kiss? That's fentanyl fatal. Potent enough to stop my breath, but damn, I'd take that risk just to taste the high again and again. And the sick part is, I know you're poison. I know the come down will leave me hollow, lips cracked, heart twitching like a vein that won't collapse. But knowledge don't silence desire, and logic don't cure cravings. So I keep crawling back. Every time I swear I'm done, you call me with that whisper, that slow drip of affection, and suddenly I'm back on the floor, eyes rolled back, nerves burning like wires on fire, chasing the rush that almost kills me. Until one day, my body don't respond. No spark, no quake, no tremor in my bones, just silence. A hollow high like chasing smoke and swallowing air. Your touch, once lightning, is now a flicker. Your voice, once thunder, is now static and a dying radio. And I'm left clawing at veins that don't remember you, gasping for a thrill that abandoned me. That's the cruelty of addiction. The drug stops working long before the desire dies. You had me trembling, sweating, begging, and then nothing. Just the taste of metal in my mouth, a phantom ache in my chest, and the slow realization that the very thing I thought I couldn't live without ain't strong enough to touch me anymore. Now, all I feel when I look at you is the wreckage, the sleepless nights, the hollowed ribs, the sweat drenched sheets. But here's the twist, I survived it. I clawed my way out of the haze, dragged myself through withdrawal, spat out your name like blood, and learned how to breathe again. You're no longer desirable, not because you changed, but because I did. I found strength in the silence, clarity in the absence, and freedom in my own pulse beating steady without you. See, I don't need your high anymore. I became my own drug. And baby, the rush of loving myself hits harder than you ever did. I'm on an emotional roller coaster. Loving you ain't nothing healthy. Loving you was never good for me. So I got off.
When we met, I was a wreck and regretful and never sober. I was 20 months younger than the man I am today. No work and all play. It choked my heart when you said I got you back into writing. I was writhing, blithe on ecstasy, fixated on my art, my suicide note, my legacy. When you flew out, I was a lout. I was doubtful and hardly sober. I was 16 months younger than the man I am today. No work and no play. It broke your heart when I said, let's just be friends. I didn't wish for you to have to see me end, so I nipped a budding love just as soon as it began. When my feelings I uncovered, I'd recovered finally sober. I was 12 months younger than the man I am today. All work and no play. It broke my heart when you said you had since moved on. I couldn't cope with the reality of what I hadn't done, so I retreated into writing, forewent meals, and bit my tongue. When I flew to New York, you were uncertain and with another. I was 10 months younger than the man I am today. All work and all play. It shook my heart when you said, in your bones you felt it too. So we proceeded naive and pursued what wasn't due. When I relapsed, I was happy, I was hopeful and afraid. I was 2 months younger than the man I am today. All work and no play, and no work and all play. It broke my heart when you looked me in my eyes and you said you were in disbelief. I called you high for a reprieve, came down, smoked again on the phone. My relief was your ruin. It broke my heart when you said that we should break up. It broke my heart when you said you don't forgive me. It broke my heart when you said we couldn't make up. It broke my heart when you said that you were starting to resent me. I adore you, my gorgeous, my darling, my love. I adore you, my Musia, my baby, my love. I adore you, my angel, my love. I'm in love with you. You're in love with me. And I hate that's not enough. The first time I spied Jane from the other side of the phone screen, Bathsheba bathed in blue light. Before her, I had pined on deliverance, penned limericks on limerence, waxing like vinyl, wine drunk on clitoris. Praying I still got it. In psalm and in sonnet, I shot first, pacing till the moment she responded. Another proper artist, perfect pitch mezzo soprano. I tried my best to hide. I'm enamored at first ballad. Second ring, I'd answer, kicking my feet like riding a bike. A giddy tyke on training wheels with froggy boots and strawberry Nesquik. We planned a meet, a third floor suite complete with single serve lotion and an ocean view. Single dimpled she arrived off a rose tinted red eye. The drive, I was bashful. We harmonized to blonde. We fucked like it was our first time. And in our climax came my doubt. Our compatibility, my feelings, her aptitude. Her breath still on my tongue, I bade her, do not wait for me. Caught in candy tears, demands I name whatever changed in me. Embarrassed, I lied. I couldn't trust my own conviction. So I contrived a happy fiction. I scapegoated my addiction. For months, on and off, I flickered my disposition. I gagged and choked her heart into uncomfortable submission. It took a full surrender to a higher power named ERP, EMDR, and sertraline for me to glean how I really felt. And how I fell. More hunger than humility, no longer am I David. By then she was with others. Still, of course, we started dating. Exclusively. Bound by love and chemistry and single-sided scotch tape. $2,200 away. And back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Her past men, her past women, my obsessions had questions, had answers, had questions, compulsions resurface. She'd ride my lips, we'd reminisce. I'd hit her IUD strings, we'd kiss, and we'd weep. Lonely little white lies to hide my desire for white wine. I'd wake up, and I'd make up in a half-assed kind of way. More Ferrero Rocher and rosé scented candles for your heartbreak. I'd like to believe it was getting better. But maybe that's denial. I wish I could say something. But I don't want to feel this. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe next week. Maybe October. I'll bounce back. It was a privilege to love her. It was my privilege to be loved by her.
The first poem is called A Perfect World. In a perfect world, on a round sphere that we call Earth, here is where you won't hear any profanity or feel pain from childbirth. There will be nothing left to fear with only good things to hear. We will all have time to find a blissful and relaxing peace of mind. I will support the exclusion of all of the isms that do harm to us, like sexism, terrorism, and racism. Life without those isms would be a charm. Take me to paradise where the cops who serve and protect are always nice and offer good life advice. Immortality would be a possibility without any chance of harm and death. I would live in a place where I would always take a breath of fresh air and life would always be fair. Everyone will have a clean slate to eliminate the hate that has increased of late. Let's raise our arms to build one another instead of doing it to kill each other. Every idea would make all of the pain fade away, but there is still something to say. Living this life of infallibility would take our ability to deal with hostility. What would personal growth mean without pain? In this perfect world, without growth, there would be nothing to attain. I've always liked the idea of like when somebody would say, in a perfect world, this would happen or this wouldn't happen. So I thought maybe I should write a poem about what I think. My second poem is called Stop and Think. If you're thinking of calling it quits, I have to admit that there is something and someone worth living for. Life in itself is an experience that you should adore. As long as you show persistence, you should always desire life more. Despite the dismay, I hope that you keep pressing play. There is a lot that is left in store. Suicide would be a very sad way to end your story. Every battle may not be won, but think of the good that you've done that shines in its glory. Imagine every loved one in your story that will end up mourning because of what they lost in you. You'll leave them feeling blue. Those who are left will be bereft of your existence. After you're gone, your memory will go on and on. You mean something to somebody, even though you feel like you're nothing to everybody.
This is a letter to the king of ignorance. Though I know reading for you is vigorous, I hope you can sound each word out so you know what I'm talking about. You should be burned at the stake due to your racist ideologies. Your view on foreign policies have no good qualities. You claim to be a businessman focused on monopolies, but you are destroying the U.S. economy. Some used to find comedy in your novelties, but you commit atrocities in large quantities with no apologies to the genealogies. You erase entire families with barbaric methodologies. Private jets, closed doors, quiet deals in the dark. Same old names on the list, just a different remark. Classic colonizer putting your name on everything like Lord Farquaad. I think you're overcompensating. Like this is your money, your golf, your pedophile ring, your country, your world, like you're the one true king. This is something I truly cannot believe. It's hard to perceive how easily you deceive, watching the whole world grieve with no reprieves. You can conceive the plans of Tel Aviv. It's disgusting to me how you can be free after we see Exhibit A through Z shows 34 felonies. This doesn't include the discrepancies from the 90s, giving teenies money to end their pregnancies due to your pedophilic tendencies and the penalties of the remedies. You ended legacies regularly with no worries to the memories needing years of therapies due to your indecency in Jeffrey's kitty rings. You committed barbarities with careless ease. Now you're on your knees begging, please let there be no transparency in the documentaries. But you're making sure the files will never result in trials while you smile at the kids you defiled. That doesn't mean no one got their lick back, because I heard you got your shit cracked. All you wanted was your cheeks clapped, but you weren't prepared for the impact with the boy you entrapped, snapped, and he attacked. I heard your asshole was blown out by a tent pole. Now you can't even take a stroll without shit caked in your jelly roll. Now you have no control over your bowel based on your polls and those you enroll to patrol your social media scroll. Though you tried in vain to win a campaign, you needed to use profane gains to maintain an insane attempt to entertain without restraint for a tyrannical reign. You might not understand what I am saying, so let me explain it again in a way that your little brain can retain without strain or pain. Ronald Dump has a leaky rump. His diaper goes thump with a smelly lump. We need to put a law into place of can and can'ts. To be president, you can't shit your pants. Hey, Donnie, everyone knows it's fake. You're not fooling anyone. We all know it's a toupee. It's no wonder why everyone hopes you unalive. You're a real bad guy. You tell lie after lie. Your policies rot like cottage cheese because you're on your knees for tech prodigies. Do you still not get it? You are a bitch. Got a clip for a dick. That's why you fuck kids and get away with it, because you are rich. Pedophile pigs belong dead in a ditch, fully off-grid, under a bridge. We can't let you switch, zipper and stitch together your sales pitch, do a bait and switch, get off without a hitch, got the fools bewitched. No wonder why your verbal slop is misread instead. Your supporters are inbred skinheads. They are brain dead, spoon-feds. I guess the hills really do have eyes if they are dumb enough to believe your lies. The MACA cult is an insult to intelligence the way they revolt against any consult. You say you don't like soldiers who get captured. At the same time, you'd rather get raptured than drafted into a war you're sure to die for. Of course, a draft resistor can't win, mister. Your followers are knowledge resistors and sister kissers. More people will celebrate your funeral than the squeaky tank birthday stroll. AI's got you in a chokehold. Grandpa is too easily sold. Sharing isn't always caring if it's racism you're daring to post on your socials. Cranking them out by the boatfuls, going on rants on truth disposal, diarrhea spills out your blowhole. Never know when sundown will hit you, your brain is melting with dementia. No wonder why your mistakes are so blatant since your country is ran by a psych patient. But that's what happens when you're racist on a regular basis. You have ICE terrorizing every man in town just because they are brown. At this point, it's a hand toss if your next move is a burning cross on the front lawn of the White House with the hate spewing from your mouth. You're after immigrants like Mr. Crocker to the innocents. The fairies aren't scary, Donnie. Cry to your mommy, Dommy. Speaking of Melania, I know she makes fun of you. I've always found it kind of funny that she's only with you for your money. You want to fix the border, right? Start by deporting your mail-order bride. Instead, you're making prices reach for the sky because you can no longer get your dick to rise. Pathetic, tiny little limp dick man going to war with Iran with no plan. Run, run, all the kids in pedo land. Here comes a big fat Cheeto man. How are you going to be a Putin masturbator because you want to be a liberal hater dictator? There is something about not hating the player if you can't even get off the bench for a taxpayer. So you're a doomsayer, cosplayer, responsibility delayer, constitution debater, caught denying the naysayers, putting kids on a traffic conveyor, and a multi-layer pedo-obeyer, demonic decayer demonstrator. It's no telling what you have in store the way you try to keep us from being informed. You only care about settling the score by shooting toddlers through their front doors. You dehumanize them and call them animals too, but I only see one dog in the room, and that bitch is you. You say you're having all these great talks, but all we see is you sucking Zionist cock. The way you slur your words through your vocal cords isn't new, makes me think you took a tent pole through your throat, pussy, too. Remember when you called Gavin Newsom the president? Naming your own replacement is heaven sent. Since your dick won't come off soft, you blow up kids to get your rocks off. Remember when you got your ear pierced on TV? The whole country prayed for an eyebrow piercing. Do you think we couldn't tell it was staged to incite rage? It's inhumane, the conditions in which you detain human beings. It could be prophesized that the way you have an entire people generalized, we are one step away from a full-blown genocide. You're about to go out with no glory. The death of you will be Operation Epstein Fury. See if I make it on the news for my violent views. Don't get it confused. I refuse to stand by genocidal Jews. I don't care if the topic is taboo. The way they abuse, they will soon have to pay their dues. I'm not here to diffuse. I'm here to accuse. Those who pursue evil always lose, because the good will always stage coups. I hate my government, but I would die for my right to my American pride. Some say it's suicide, but I'll never comply to your tyrannical lies. You incentivize extensive ties with gentrified Israelites. So hereby you cannot deny that it's worth the homicide. And if this is my final goodbye, then goodbye and good night. Now either stand aside or stand the fuck up and fight.
Listen, I woke up expecting an ordinary morning, doing my regular routines and fixing breakfast in peace. But no, because somewhere in this house lurks a fucking villain, a menace. You little shit. I tried to cook shredded hash browns, season them, and add my ketchup. I didn't look at it. That's where I messed up. I tried to eat them and realized the ketchup had hot sauce inside. My soul did a backflip off of a cliff. My mouth erupted in panic. I rushed to drink some milk. Fuck sips. I took gulps. You piece of shit, you're laughing so hard till snot runs down your face. You lucky I don't kick you out my place. So next I thought I would relax after the ordeal I just had. I grabbed 2 of my cucumbers that I soaked yesterday evening to promote self-care. I placed those cool slices gently across my eyelids. Within seconds, my eyes are burning and all I'm doing is crying. I jump up like I've been electrocuted, stumbling towards the sink, half blind. This piece of shit soaked those cucumbers in dishwashing liquid. I flushed and I flushed my eyes. All I could hear was that shit was funny, to my surprise. But wait, I'm not done. I told him, you won. He said, it's just all in fun. All I could say was, you got me, son. In my head, oh, I'm plotting to get him back. As I'm thinking, I got to go brush my teeth. But the moment the toothbrush hits my mouth, my taste buds went south. This piece of shit switched it out with glue. This motherfucker has me stuck literally while he laughing. I politely walked towards him, laughing, like, okay, you got me again. When I got close enough, I immediately hit him in the throat. He acted like he was choking. Then I knocked his ass smooth out. Now look who's laughing, Cal. Hours later, he woke up with permanent markings on his face, mayonnaise in his socks, and hot sauce on his lips. He tried to run to rinse his mouth out, but seemed to slip because little old me had put some baby oil on the floor. No, did he? As he kept falling and getting up, I was laughing so hard I was about to bust. You little shit, you better not do this anymore. You better know better. That shit is ridiculous. He was crying. Then his cry turned into a sneaky grin. Ah, I know this little piece of shit would do it again. To be continued.
Melvin was a blurry whirlwind, a 6'4" tornado of a man whose passing left eddies and dirt devils on old country roads. Melvin was a man of his time. When the clothes were rough cotton, like the kids in Lily picked, upon return from the one-room schoolhouse down the road. There wasn't enough crops to share when there's 8 heads and 8 kids and 8 mouths to feed. So Melvin made liquor. Some called it the shine. No different than his neighbors, trying to make 5 ends meet and make up a dime. They fought in the yard when he pulled in, all blusterous and red. Grandma was known to throw skillets and barely miss his head. Lily claimed it was like squeezing blood from a stone to make him give up money for groceries. See, Grandpa was a tornado out of Missouri, and his wake was always destruction. Midsummer days, or holidays' early snow, long car rides from Delaware, school's out, you know it's time to go. Times when, are we there yet? Didn't mean nearly the same thing that they mean when you're an adult and you have endless patience to sit in the car until you get to see Grandma again. The old house, the covered porch, now long gone, lost in memory of some distant midnight fire. I remember fireworks in the yard, bought joyfully just across the Tennessee state line. Bags and bags of bright sky fire just waiting to ignite. Man, I must have seemed like a rock star when we pulled up. I don't remember feeling that way, though. But I do remember bottle rockets in the cornfield, cousins screaming and yelling, running from Roman candles, pants burning, throwing sparks, small holes in t-shirts with manic zeal. Man, those holidays were good and simple and full of childlike fond memories. When cousins were cousins and family was family, and I still didn't eat the potato salad. Hide and seek meant that I was sure to lose because, believe it or not, I was actually one of the smaller ones. Those were the days when they sent you out into the rain to the edge of the porch to turn the antenna to try to get the long, far-off stations, and somebody inside was always screaming, a little more, right there. But you know, I remember Grandma's gravy and biscuits. But even better, chocolate gravy and biscuits. Because you know, nobody's canned biscuits ever tasted the same as Grandma's. I guess it was filled with the love that I had for her. You know, I still long for those biscuits. I remember smelly couches that reeked like Grandpa's camels, that old faded chair by the TV where Grandma had rocked me as a baby. People were going deaf and they had to get close enough to hear, just like I'm going deaf. Grandma cutting seeds off strawberries because they were too hard for her to eat without her dentures in. Little fried potato wedges first boiled and then cooked in Crisco in a skillet till they were crispy around the edges. You know, the stuff of dreams fulfillment. The joy that was the aroma of the soft middle pot roast and the pressure cooker that used to sit on the stove bubbling and steaming away in a merry little fashion and always burned your hand if you got too close. That was Granny Lily's, the greatest place a kid could ever be. And I still hear her soft voice calling out to me, saying, son.
There's this thing I used to say when times are tough but won't last. Everything is temporary. This too shall pass. I used to believe that, saying that 100%. Not anymore, perhaps not in the way you expect. In life, a lot of things and people come and go. Nothing seems permanent, and weird ebb and flow of seemingly constant change and adaptation of new environments and situations that strains the body and spirit war-torn from the daily blitzkrieg of bullshit that seems to be playing on repeat. As if life was a broken record player that plays slightly different beats. The longer that record player gets used in that condition, no progress will be made to better one's perception, and I, for one, would love to be the one who can provide you life in high definition. I would love to listen to the song of life with you without a skip, letting this groove get us to move, dancing hip to hip without breaking a sweat but still drip. Yeah, we're so fly like that. We're two halves of a rocket ship that propel each other to a one-way trip to reality that we can conquer any hardship. The sheer thought of always being there for you in need imbues me to be anything you need me to be. You see, my love language is shape-shifting and varied, and I am more than capable to speak in pleasantries in the style of Gomez to Morticia with ease. I would die for you. I would kill for you. Either way, what bliss. I cannot imagine a more worthy pair of lips to kiss, to experience you fully. Cara mia is can't miss. Let's silence each other's demons sweetly. As they learn to dance together ever so neatly, with grounding and reassurance, we can love concretely. When the blazing sun has turned to mud, and the moon lies dead in a pool of blood, and the tom-tom beat of eternity starts, whom will I love whom will I love in my heart of hearts? You. There's no doubt that this feeling is true. This attraction, this gravitation towards you, this burning desire to provide you a fresh new view of how love and life can be, boo. You see, I wish I hadn't wasted so much energy chasing others when the best match was standing right in front of me. In short, not everything is temporary. And now it's pretty damn easy to see. I'm for you, and you're for me.
They told us the internet wasn't real. Said, don't trust people you meet through a screen. Said, that ain't friendship, that's just Wi-Fi pretending to be touch. But some of y'all met me inside a poem. And somehow the poem opened its robe of light. A glitchy live at 2 a.m., bad lighting, low battery, heart flickering like a candle in a room God forgot to enter. And still, your voices came through. Not loud, not always dramatic, just warm enough to make the dark take one step back. like a hand sliding under the locked door of my silence, saying, "Baby, I know you're in there. Come back before the night gets too comfortable wearing your name." And still somehow a comment box became a pulse, a TikTok room became a throat full of lanterns, a stanza became a body we could crawl into without shame, so don't tell me these connections ain't real. Some friendships are soul ships, built not from blood but from breath, not from geography but gravity, and not from standing in the same room but from knowing the exact place a voice goes quiet when the spirit starts undressing grief. Some people live close enough to touch you and still never learn your temperature. Some people live 3 states over and can hear your loneliness pulling the blinds down. It's real. It's intimate. It's Wi-Fi becoming witness. It's signal entering the chest like warm rain with a key, and it's poetry doing what poetry does, putting its mouth to the wound, and it's not to own it. It's not to feed from it, but to remind it to open. You're not dead. You're not just unheld. We built altars out of comment sections and emergency rooms out of bad connections, families out of profile pictures, voice notes, duets, inside jokes, and poems read low enough to touch the ribs. See, poems that said, "You're still here?" Poems that said, "Breathe with me." Poems that said, "Don't disappear before I finish loving you back into language." These bonds ride at dawn. They're not cute dawn. The not soft little sunrises with clean hands. I mean dawn after the night you had by the throat. Dawn with swollen eyes, and dawn with the phone still hot in your palm like it spent all night holding your soul against its chest. Dawn where someone whispers, "I made it," and 5 poets who have never shared the same kitchen all exhale like one body finally unclenching. Tell me that isn't real. Tell me a screen can't hold a soul. Tell me a pixel can't become skin. Tell me a poem can't become hands when someone is drowning in their own room. I dare you, because I've seen TikTok relationships save lives. I've seen poets pull each other back from the edge with nothing but language, bad reception, and a voice soft enough to say. I've seen a live turn into a lighthouse. A line turn into a lifeline, a stranger turn into kin, kin turn into cavalry. So when Wi-Fi creates connections, respect the miracle. Respect the soulship. Respect the poem that crossed cities, time zones, trauma, and silence just to touch the part of you nobody local knew how to reach. Some of us are still alive because somebody online heard one line shake in your mouth and said, "No, not tonight, not on my watch, not while this poem still knows where your pulse lives." And when morning comes, we ride. Not because the signal is perfect, but because the bond was. Because the poem is. Because the love found through the glass still knew exactly where to put its hands.